So we got some new videos today from OTA. We're going to be focusing on our rookie quarterback, Drake Maye, and his throwing motion again. Now, during rookie minicamp, there was a lot of buzz about his potential hitch in his throwing motion. There was a shrug. Now, media noted that there was a slight shrug that could affect his accuracy and timing. My previous video, I watched we went through the tape. Yes, there's some things that could be considered a hitch, and also just in his footwork, there was an idea that there's potential shrug in his throwing motion, primarily derived from an overly dynamic tapping of the ball right before he withdrew the ball up. We went through all the mechanics of that. As we head into preseason, all eyes are going to be on Maye to see if he's made any improvements in this situation. Obviously, the coaching staff must be working tirelessly with him on these things, focusing on refining his mechanics. Now, I think the OTA clip shows promising signs. His release does look a little smoother, and that noticeable shrug seems to be diminishing. It's obvious that Drake has been putting in some work. We've seen some progress, but it's all about consistency, and we need to see if this improvement actually translates to live game situations. I'm going to take a few minutes, watch some of the tape, see if we see that the shrug is still there, if the hitch is there, footwork. Just go over some basic mechanics, noting any improvements and other potential concerns. Let's take a look. All right, so here's some practice tape. Do some analysis here. We're looking for that apparent hitch in the throwing motion. We're looking for the shrug in the throwing motion. Also looking for anything that might be new, good, or bad. That being said, I'm not attacking Drake Maye. I'm just pointing out what I see. We're just going to be looking for if there's any indication that he has been working on anything mechanical, right? Technique. Is he working on throwing mechanics? Now, that's big because, one, we want to see some progress. We want to see things clean up. But even if in that short period of time, you just want to see an athlete making progress towards attempting to fix it. Now, if this guy is attempting to fix it and it still actually looks pretty decent, right? He's throwing a good ball. That's good signs, guys. Because that's either the stuff that people have been talking about might just been a little bit of a hiccup and it's better than we thought. Or, right, this guy's been working hard and he's got the skills and the talent to make those adjustments without completely breaking down and learning from anew. Which, for a lot of athletes, when you have something that's hard and ingrained and you change it up, usually the performance drops, right? Because you have to rewire the body and things don't fire correctly and you have to really, it's rehab. You have to break it down. So if we're seeing things that are looking good, if it's just slightly cleaned up, or maybe it's an over-exaggeration what we saw from the previous videos, mini camp, let's just see what happens here, right? All right, so good drive there. Didn't have the hitch step. Looked pretty clean. There's a hitch step, which again is kind of like a crow hop. That was my first thing, which was, are we talking about an actual hitch, like fault in the throwing motion, or are we just talking about a hitch step? But that being said, let's go on that again. Reminder from the last video. The hitch step is kind of like a little mini crow hop, typically when you need to put a little bit more on it, right? That's what I thought people were talking about, but I also figured that people maybe were just talking some sort of like glitch in his throwing motion. Something is not as smooth, which I think that's what, after hearing other people talk about, I think that's what they were referring to. But at the same time, though, the hitch step, you have to be smart enough when to use it, and that could go to like point of some people's concerns with his footwork. Is it clean enough? Is it simple, right? Is it concise? Is it accurate, right? Is it balanced? All those things, if you're throwing an extra step in there when you don't need to, yeah, that's not good, right? Because it's a longer throwing motion, right? Not just the delivery, but like his whole technique of throwing the ball involves footwork. It's not just all specifically at the shoulder, elbow, and hand, guys, right? And even the torso. So let's break that down again. I'm sorry. We're already off track here. All right, so let's see. So here's the drive. He's going to plant this back right foot. Now with this, there's no extra step. So he just puts his weight in that back foot, dynamic stabilization, and then takes a nice big solid step, a plant with his left. And then you're going to want to see that right side drive towards his target, which I believe is this guy. right? And then the other thing is you want to see that left foot kind of step a little bit out to the side. That allows his right side to actually cleanly go through, which allows you to have a more concise and amputated throwing motion rather than having to go around his left side. You want the left side to clear out of the way a little bit, which allows his right side to pop right through. So let's see. No. So now, yeah, that was a little bit more of a sling. I mean, maybe the idea is that that's where he was anticipating the guy to go. This guy's not supposed to be a strictly stationary target. So maybe we'll say something to that, but that's interesting. Oh yeah, so I guess he's understanding that he's going to be moving. So this is the target area. See, like he's going to square up. Okay, all right. But that's good, guys. Now you want to see this gap between his legs here. So you want to see this ankle a little bit more turned out, and you want to squeeze the hips or the thighs together, right? So you got a ball. Sometimes a good thing is you always have an athlete take like one of those simple play. What are they, like an 8-inch or 10-inch ball? Just put it between their legs, and then as they throw, they're squeezing. Now, you don't do too much with it because you don't want to get them used to having the gap, but they're trying to keep the ball in between their legs. By doing that, you're building the idea is that when you remove the ball, the legs, they squeeze together, right? It's a low velocity ball, so it's probably just being lax. But something you practice is that even you can do the motion regardless of the velocity. Now this one he did have a hitch, right? Boom, boom. Not bad though. Ankles out, knee out. These are all low velocity balls, but gotta get that velo. Not too many taps, guys, right? Still has that dynamic one, which is what's going back to the previous video, which is what I was talking about. And I think a lot of people misunderstood what I was getting at. I don't care that he taps the ball. I don't care. That people like, oh, Mahomes does or Allen does. Yeah. It's not the problem that the tapping is not the problem. Is that he typically was doing 2 taps, right? Taps the ball twice. First one, just literally put his hands on the ball, get into rhythm. But the second one, he loaded a dynamic ball. He pushed on the ball, right? Let's go back to that. Hopefully this thing works here. But when you push on the ball, it's the fact that he drives your arm back. So, like, we're right there. Now, is he pushing? Didn't seem too bad there. Yeah, he does push it. Yep, still does it there too. Even when he's doing on the run there. By the way, this is what, this is why I love the guy. That's it on this one, so he's gonna, he's telegraphing it a little bit too much. But he's gonna plant this right foot, and then notice how he plants the right foot all pre-cocked. Right? So his foot, some people, they do this wrong, which is they have their foot, essentially, he's running right down the line, right? But then his foot is right, some people plant their right foot perpendicular, like they're still running forward, and then they try to twist their upper body. He's going to get his right leg, he's going to basically kick it in with the toe pointing towards his target, which allows his right hip to get open towards the target. That would pop his hip. So what he's landing is dynamically loaded, right? So essentially all he needs to do is land on the ground and then release. So drive the knee, drive the toe forward towards his target, and the moment it hits, if his right shoulder is loaded behind the hip and knee, the moment his foot hits the ground, it's like a trigger and he can pop the right side forward. See, right shoulder behind the right hip, right knee ahead of the shoulder, toe presumably in line, but once he lands, see how it just loaded him up? Boing! Perfect. I think that was the same one from before. Oh, get out of the way, dude. Oh, get out of the way. Good angle. That's a good angle. Right? Because he's throwing on line. So you can actually... He's throwing straight, but at an angle. So how does he do this? Wider stance. More the front leg is straight, and he's going to keep the bend off. He's not going to be able to push hard off that back. But yeah, so he can't really take a hard push. So makes sense. It's actually not bad. Okay, that's good. All right, so that's what we can see it here. So he is putting the foot out to the side. Now, why is that important? Right, because you're going to want your right side to drive straight through. If your foot is, say, here, when your right side can't go, has to go around. Boom, that's a good camera angle, whoever got that one. A lot of these comes from Sosi, Kyle's. I think I got something. Was Kaid was there. And then just CLNS, which I'm sure is Cadlick. Or, I guess, Kyle's. Does he tap? Not too bad. That, like, dynamic pushback is still a little bit of an issue. Nice job, though. Good pronation. So that's the other, same throws, but different angle. Okay, so we might be get something better here. Hold on. Yeah, there it is. There's the push, and then there's the result. So he still has this tap. No, he's not tapping the ball excessively, so I don't know if that's been something that he's been working on. But he's still, even if he's not going to tap the ball, he still has this dynamic load. So the tap and the push on the ball, I guess you don't need to actually put your hand, take your left hand out and hit the ball. It can be on the ball, you can still push, but the fact is he's still going to push this left hand in the ball, which is going to drive his elbow back. Right? And here again, you're going to say, that's not a big deal. Well, I can ask you to stand up, take your right arm, and put it out to the side. Okay, push your hand and reach out to the side. Okay, now stand up. Lift your right arm up. Okay, now they're the same thing, right? You're lifting your arm up is also reaching out. Now the problem when you're actually an athlete and you're trying to have a dynamic relationship, all these muscles that are controlling the shoulder, which some cases they're the primary mover, and sometimes they're stabilizing the joint, right? And it's not just the arm. Right? It's also the shoulder blade. All these things matter. So when you push against this ball, the first force vector is to think out. Now, if I keep telling you to push your knuckle away from you out, what happens? Your arm starts to rise. So your result is, hey, the ball's going to actually get to that spot that you want it to be. But I want you just to draw the arm up. Right? Draw the arm up, which also means, yeah, it's going to go out, but you're not going to take the elongated motion. So you're not, instead of going out, you're going to think up. Both things end up with the ball with the arm elevating. But it's, yeah, see, that's just, yeah. Bring your arm up, not the ball back. Now, why, the ball will come up and back because as you step forward with this arm, you are moving away from the ball that's here. So if you move the arm back, step forward, the ball is going to land right in this spot anyway. Yeah, see that little dynamic pat there? So the ball's going to go down, and look, it just needs to come up, guys. It just needs to come up. So from here, the ball is going to make it. It doesn't need to be. You can just draw it up. It's not much, but it gives you, just gives you that little bit of a gap there, guys. Is it a big deal? Absolutely not. Does it look any better? Maybe. Watch this foot. The foot lands. The knee's bent. The moment it hits, spring loaded. Right shoulder's behind the hip. Right? And he's just going to fly right through. Boom. Perfect. Freaking perfect. All right. So to summarize some of the good, bad, highlights, lowlights, I would say on this throw, the fact that he was able to do a drive, so he just planted his back foot. He didn't have to do a hitch step. All right. Bad on this one. I would assume that the idea is he's supposed to be throwing over here, and this coach / staffer is supposed to be moving towards that, which you can kind of see. But if it's not, that is a concern that he's not moving his left foot away a little bit to allow his right side to come through. And you can actually kind of see it in a second here. If you watch his right hip, it kind of has a little bit, again, I use the word hitch, but there's a little bit of roadblock, and it has to kind of bump and roll its way around. Not as clean, but I would assume that was, by design, essentially by the staffer supposed to be moving. Still seeing some dynamic tapping there. That's definitely loading the elbow back rather than drawing the elbow up. That's almost perfect. It's everything you want to see. Again, he's running perpendicular to the line, but he's going to plant that foot. Or sorry, I said perpendicular. He's running parallel, but he's going to plant the foot perpendicular to the line, right? Which is at his target, loads it up. Awesome spot. Everything about that throw is absolutely perfect. Perfect. He's throwing at an angle, but his foot stance allows him to do that. He's riding the angle. He's riding the ramp, right? So he's going to have a little bit more bend in that knee. He's not going to be able to drive off his back leg as much as he can, right? And he's going to ride it up. He's going to keep that hip. And the idea is that his hip and shoulders are still at the same angle, right? So he's throwing straight. He's throwing a nice solid ball, but he's put himself at the angle that he needs to throw at. It's perfect. It's exactly what you want to do, and you just want to loft it right in there. That's a good throw. Feet look pretty decent. He's on balls at his feet. He plants them when he needs to. Gets flat when he needs to. That's good. Guys, looking good. So overall, I don't see any, big shrugging motions. I'm not seeing the hitch as much. Is it perfect? No. Does he look better than most of the other quarterbacks right now? I think so. So I don't think there's any red flags right now. I think there is some improvement. The elongated throwing motion that I was seeing in some of the minicamp, rookie minicamp videos, definitely not there. Not as much. It's not as egregious. It's not as elongated. Now, I think he still needs to work on drawing the arm up rather than drawing the arm back from that dynamic load. It's very similar to like drawing a bow versus, chopping wood, swinging an axe. As a quarterback, you're more like the movement that you're looking for is more of a drawing the bow and you're retracting the elbow up and back, right? Versus chopping wood, right? Which is when you're taking the axe head, right? And it's going to come past your hip, behind, under, and then up over the shoulder, right? A chopping motion. You're not looking for that sort of load up, that big elongated load up as a quarterback, right? You're going to try to bring the arm up and back, and the load, a lot of it comes not from the arm getting jammed back. It's actually the acceleration of your body forward while the ball is still slightly being drawn back. You get that dynamic stretch across the body. You get the primal chop across the body, right? You load that way. You shouldn't have to wind up the ball. It didn't look nearly as bad this time, but is still something there. Now, tens of thousands of throws throughout his whole entire career of being a quarterback is not going to be erased immediately in a week or two, right? So the elongated throwing motion, although not perfect, it's not as concise as it should be. I think it looked a little bit cleaner. Now, are we going to say like, hey, don't have to worry about it, everything's great? No, of course not. And I'm not saying like, it's all everything's sunshine and rainbows right now. It's not. Obviously, he's a rookie quarterback. He's got a lot to learn, a lot to work on top of cleaning up his mechanics. So we have to give him some, leeway here. He's got a lot. He's working on multiple fronts right now, trying to improve his game. So, any sort of progress, and even if it's just today, guys, you got the classic. You got to stack some wins somehow, right? So you gotta applaud good reps, because good reps, become hopefully outweigh the bad ones, and they stack up higher, right? It's just the way things are. There's going to be some setbacks. There's going to be times where you could see some issues that we talked about with the shrug or the hitch in the throwing motion, the bad feet. It's going to show up here and there. But over the years, hopefully it cleans up. Roll those things out, smooth it over, and we get a highly polished quarterback. Hopefully. Anyway, what do you guys think? What do you think of the clips? Does it look like things improved? Did you see the shrug? Did you see the hitch? What do you think about the feet? More importantly, overall, how you feel about going out of these OTAs? We have minicamp, in about several weeks here, and then we're less than 100 days to the start of the season, guys. So, although there is going to be this lull between June and July, it's going to be a blink of an eye, and we're going to be worrying about if this guy is ready for week one, or if we're going to see him, several weeks in the season or at all. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys like this content, please like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.